Okay, so this is question 3 from exercise 3G. It says the tourist attraction is open 350 days of the year. Number of visitors each day for the 350 days was recorded, and the results are shown in a table. So the original table here had the number of visitors here between 100 and 200, and that occurred 24 times, 24 out of the 350 days. Then I've got between 200 and 300, that occurred 36 times. So that's our information here. Then it says draw a suitable graph to represent this data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a graph of what's called the cumulative frequency. So I've added this extra column on here, and I've put CF, which stands for cumulative frequency. So cumulative frequency is the total number up to that point. So here I've got 100 to 200 is frequency of 24. So I'm just going to leave that one in the same. Then here, the cumulative frequency, instead of being between 200 and 300, is going to be all the way from 100 up to 300. So it's going to be these two regions together. So what I'm going to do is add this 24 and this 36, which is going to make 60. Then for the next one, I would have from 100 all the way up to 400. So I would add this number, and this number. I've already added the first two, which is 60. So I would just add on 68, and then that would give me 128. I would then add on 95 next, which would give me 223, and then add on 73, and then add on 38, and then finally add on 16. When I get to the bottom, my cumulative frequency here should be 350 because there were 350 days. So just check when you finished that your cumulative frequency is equal to the total for the frequency. That way you know you've added them all up correctly. So this one here would be all the way from 100 all the way up to 800. So that should be the entire number here. This one is from 100 up to 700 with 334. All right, once I've worked out the cumulative frequency here, what I then do is going to draw that onto a graph. So I'm going to put the number of visitors on my x-axis from 100 to 800, and then I'm going to put the cumulative frequency on my y-axis. So I've drawn the scale already down here. So I've got my number of visitors down the bottom here, and then I've got my cumulative frequency on the y-axis here. Actually made it a bit big, you can't really see. Can I zoom a bit? Yeah, that's a bit better. We can see a bit better now. Okay, so first I'm going to start by plotting the points. So I'm going to plot the end point of this one. So I'm going to plot 200 with 24. So 200 here and 24. 20 is going to be there. 24 is going to be sort of there. Then I need to plot 300 with 60. 360 there. Then I need to plot 400 with 128, which is going to be there. 500 with 223. There. 600 with 296. That's going to be there. 700 with 334. Going to be there. And then finally 800 with 350. I think my 334 is a little bit high. Just move that down a bit. There. Okay, now when I'm finished, I should end up with a sort of stretched out S shape. So I'll do my best to join that up. Sort of like that. Okay, so that's my graph there. There's my number of visitors and my cumulative frequency. That's my suitable graph drawn. And it says, use your graph on all the data to find estimates for the median and the interquartile range. So we know that the median is the number in the middle. So since our frequency is 350, the number in the middle would be half of 350, which is going to be 175. So what I do is I look on my y-axis for 175. So 100 is here, that would be 180 would be there, 175 is going to be roughly there. So what I do is I draw across a line, 175, see where it hits my curve, and then come down and read that from the scale. So that's going to be my median, And on the scale there, that looks to be like 460. Okay, then I'm going to do the same idea for the interquartile range. So I'm going to do my lower quartile, which is going to be half of 175, which is going to be 87 and a bit, 87 and a half. So I'm going to do that sort of there. And then the upper quartile is going to be 3/4 of the way through the data, which is going to be sort of about here. So I read off the lower quartile, I read off the upper quartile, and then the interquartile range is going to be between the two of them. So this is my lower quartile here, which is going to be sort of 320. And then I can do my upper quartile, which is going to be sort of 570 or so. So therefore my interquartile range is going to be 570 take 320, which is going to be 250. All right. So use your data to find estimates from the median and the interquartile range. These are estimates because I've used my graph. So my graph is not going to be quite perfect. All right, but so long as you show the technique that you've used, then you're going to get full marks. So this one, the pink one, was my median. This yellow one here is the lower quartile. This other yellow one is the upper quartile, and then the interquartile range is between the two of them. Then it says, determine whether or not there are any outliers. So to work out the outliers, what I need to do is I need to do 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is like we've done before. So that is going to be 375, and then I take that away from the lower quartile. So from the lower quartile, that's going to be down to below 0, and then I add that onto the upper quartile. And if I add 375 onto the upper quartile, then that's also going to take me out of range. So there's going to be no outliers. Okay, then it says, smallest number of visitors was 185, largest number was 792. Draw a box and whisker plot to represent this data. All right, so because I've got my median, my lower quartile, my upper quartile, I can just directly draw those on my box plot. So between 320 and 570. So I've got down here another scale. So between 320 and 570, I need to draw my box. So 320 is there, 570 is along to there. My median is at 460. Like that. And then the maximum is 792, which is here. And then the lowest one is 185, which is here. So there's my box plot. Then it says, if the number of tourists is fewer than 350 in a day, then the attraction loses revenue. Determine the number of days in which the attraction loses revenue. So I can go back to my cumulative frequency graph for that. So what I do is I find 350. 350 is here, this orange line. So I go up to the cumulative curve and then I go across like that. So that would mean that 350 visitors would correspond with sort of like 97 days, I'd say. This orange line here is at 97. So that means that 97 days out of the 350, it would lose revenue. Okay, and then that's how you use your cumulative frequency graph. So cumulative frequency graph should always look like this sort of stretched out S. Oops, like that.